How's it going, my friends? Good to be back so soon with something a little different, and yet at the same time exactly what I've always been doing. uh, First off, I just want to thank those who made my 22nd birthday excellent. My lovely friend Brilia for her fantastic readings, Scribbler for her comic dubs. All of you, go check out their channels and enjoy their most recent additions. I really, really appreciate those gifts and whatever other happy birthday wishes I got from others. Now then, to business. This next story, which I'll hopefully be able to turn out over the next several weeks, is called She Woke To Fur Elise. It's an Octoscratch ship that I really enjoyed after being recommended it by user Pierre Bergstrom, and I hope everyone else feels the same. This is also my very first collaborative effort, so I'd just like to give the first of what I'm sure will be many sincere thanks to the wonderful girl I mentioned earlier, Brillia9794, who will do the voice of Vinyl Scratch in all 5 chapters of this reading. Hopefully everyone else enjoys her take on the character as much as I do. So I guess that's all for now. Hope all my other good friends and subs enjoy. Let's get started. She Woke To Fur Elise. Chapter 1. Party Hard, Crash Harder. Vinyl, wake up! You've got to go to work! A voice echoed down the hall as a blue-maned unicorn rolled over lazily in bed. She cracked her eyes open slowly, the sound of the Canterlot streets blaring beneath her.
I don't want to get up.
A muffled voice replied from deep within the confines of a particularly comfy pillow. Finally, raising her head, she glanced up at the clock by her bedside.
9 p.m.? Way too early for me.
After a loud burst at her door, a stern voice aided in her escape from slumber. Vinyl, I'm serious. If you can't pay your share of the rent this month, I'm gonna bust your flank before I kick it out.
Grr. Fine. What is this place again?
Vinyl asked before ungracefully scratching her rump with a yawn. Philly Foolers. It was the only place I could find you a gig, as you have a reputation for never showing up, and the manager thinks you're hot.
Dude, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Vinyl gave the most hateful stare she could muster at her friend through half-closed eyes. They had known each other for years, after meeting at a club, the one where Vinyl discovered her love for DJing. He was a tall unicorn with a gray coat and messy black mane. Similar to his friend, he preferred to keep his sunglasses on most of the time, hiding his eyes behind the dark-tinted glass. Whatever. It's not like you have to talk to any of the guests, though flirting a bit with the manager might help the paycheck, he replied calmly.
I don't know how to flirt with fillies,
Vinyl exclaimed, sitting upright in her unkempt bed, bringing her hooves down on the mattress with a dull thump. Vinyl, you don't know how to flirt with any pony. Seriously, you've been to every nightclub in Canterlot and Manhattan twice, and you've never brought back any pony.
Maybe we just always go to his place,
she said with a smirk. You're here every damn day. Look, just get up and go earn your half of the rent. I don't want to kick you out, but seriously, I'm going for broke here.
Fine.
Vinyl sighed as she gazed upon the club she had been hired at. 2 large stallions were unloading her equipment into the dark, odorous, and downright ghetto club she would be performing for. The large neon sign, spelling out Phil E. Foo-ers in cheesy pink cursive, made Vinyl shudder at what DJing here could mean for her reputation. Strange sounds came from inside the club, mostly catcalls, but what made them odd was the shrill feminine voices which made them. Vinyl groaned as she pushed open the doors and received a full view to the scene before her. Several platforms, each adorned with a reflective metallic pole, stood feet above an ugly, stained carpet and rows of peeling leather booths. At the far corner of the club was a bar, being attended by a scantily dressed mayor simply wiping the same spot of bar repetitively, and a bit dispenser if you were lucky or unfortunate enough to have brought your credit card along. The club was lit by low, stationary lighting, and only one, rather unattractive, mayor danced on a single pole. Vinyl directed the stallions from gawking to the work at hoof, instructing them on where to place the lights, amps, and her turntables. While directing, a mare came up from behind and tapped her on the shoulder.
"Excuse me, Miss Vinyl, I presume?"
The manager was surprisingly young, only a few years older than Vinyl, and rather well kept.
"I'm the manager of this fine club, and I was happy to hire you, especially on such short notice. We could really use your talent to get this place jumping."
Vinyl smiled. Despite the unfamiliar and unpleasant atmosphere, she did know how to get a club jumping, and intended to do just that.
How many more dancers do you have scheduled?
Vinyl asked, planning her show.
"Quite a few. The night always starts slow, especially so recently."
Then let's get to it.
Vinyl answered with a smirk. Quickly finishing the last pieces of her setup, she finally magically lowered her glasses over her eyes and turned on the mic. Some of the ponies in the audience began to turn their attention to the mare behind the speakers as she screamed into the microphone.
Good evening, Philly Foolers! Are you ready to get this party started?
A loud cheer of approval responded to her question as she lowered the house lights and put the needle in place, a loud scratch echoing before the song came to life. As the beats began to echo through the club, small multicolored dots of light danced around the room and began to flash as a simple drum beat gave body to the uneven melody. As Vinyl's subwoofers exploded in a wave of sound and bass, shaking the glasses on the bar, the lights burst into a beautiful multicolored display of red, blue, and green. Vinyl flashed a toothy grin as the club began to sway to the beat of the song. Using magic, she levitated her microphone out of its stand and began to sing. The club came alive, cheering at the blend of musical poetry and heavy bass as more ponies strolled in from the street, eager to see the show inside. Soon the club was packed, with not only mares but also a couple stallions, drawn in by the powerful voice of Vinyl. As the song died down, she looked around to not only see the club was packed, but alive. All 4 platforms in use by the club's best dancers, the bar mare frantically jumping around to fill every pony's order, and a familiar mare grinning from ear to ear. Vinyl sighed as she stepped down from her stage, the music and lights now set on their respective autopilots. The club was still very much alive as Vinyl worked her way to the bar. Receiving a few unwelcome swats on the rump, she sat on an empty bar stool next to an unhappy-looking earth pony. Her black mane was flawlessly groomed along with her gray coat. She sat with her head leaning on one hoof, a half-empty glass of Applejack Daniels and ice in the other. Adorning her neck was a simple pink bow tie, giving just a spot of color to her otherwise dull body. Vinyl turned to face the mare and made first eye contact. Beautiful violet gemstones stabbed into Vinyl's eyes as she removed her glasses, simply to make sure it wasn't simply the tint of the lenses. But no, there in the low, grungy atmosphere of the club shined 2 indigo dots, clashing against Vinyl's own ruby-red eyes. Vinyl simply stared at the mare for a moment, confused as to why she was in a place like this, before proceeding to speak.
No offense, but it doesn't look like you're having a good time. Anything I can do to help?
"Thanks, but no thanks. I'm not like that."
Vinyl crooked her head to the side, confused as to what she meant, before the reality of the implication of her statement hit her.
Oh, no. Sorry, that came out wrong. Yeah, me neither. I'm just DJing tonight. Wondering if you had any requests.
"Oh, I don't suppose you could take a break from this racket and play some Fur Elise,
Who's Fur now? I don't know any Elise, either.
Figures.
Hey, if you're not into mares, and you define this music as racket, then what in the hay are you doing here?
I needed a drink, that's all. This place was closest."
Vinyl raised an eyebrow but shrugged. Her excuse was as good as any. Vinyl's eyes caught sight of the treble clef adorning her flank and spoke again.
So, you're musical too, huh? What do you play?
Cello, thank you for asking. How did you know?
Pointed to her cutie mark with a deadpan expression.
Oh, yes, of course.
Look, I may not be your kind of musician, but I know some stuff about music. Doesn't cello play in bass clef?
I need another drink.
I'll join you. What's your name?
Octavia. Octavia Philharmonica,
she said, extending a gentle hoof. Vinyl seized her hoof in her own and shook vigorously.
Vinyl scratch!
Well, I hope everyone likes what they've heard so far. I think this is looking to be quite a success. Thanks again to Dear Brillia for voicing Vinyl, and thank you all for listening. Hope to be back soon with Chapter 2. Really looking forward to it. Thanks again, and take care.